Yes! I know him! He's a friend from work! Hey everybody, we're Movie Herd. I'm Chan.
And I'm Kyle, and today we're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok, like where do I start? I don't know if it's because it's so new, but I'm going to go out and say this. It's my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film to date. I felt like Thor 3, where did this come from? How did this become my favorite? Of course, there's other ones that maybe have a better narrative, like Winter Soldier or Civil War, but I think it's like if you have a really good sense of humor, this is going to be the one for you.
I think it had not only like really, really good humor in it, but the storyline was actually pretty good too. Winter Soldier had an amazing story that was really captivating, very kind of dramatic and stuff like this. Thor Ragnarok was not very dramatic. It was very, very funny, but it was incredibly entertaining. And I heard that they gave the actors a bit more free roam and like let them kind of improvise stuff.
80% improv. Oh, and another fun fact, Korg, the rock guy, that's Korg, is the director. The voice of it was the director. This is like his biggest budget, of course, so far, and it's such a different movie for him to make, and he rocked it.
A lot of the cast is the same cast from the other movies, and so they've played these characters so many times they know them perfect, and they're just there, you know, and they're basically just show up and like, yep, let's do this, because they know what's going on.
Everyone was perfectly cast. I loved every character. Jeff Goldblum just stole the show. Let's put him in more movies. That's what I'm thinking. Like, let's put him in Pirates 6. As Jack Sparrow's brother. I could see him be Jack Sparrow's brother.
I could see that too.
And then the other new character, Valkyrie. I love that actress. So she's very intriguing to watch.
The way that they introduced Valkyrie it wasn't how I imagined they would introduce her.
Yeah.
They introduced her more like they would, I feel like, Star-Lord. And I actually really liked Loki in this. There was like that brotherly bond that we didn't really feel in like any of the other movies. Not even in the first movie did we feel something like this.
I know I bag on MCU soundtrack a lot. This one I think is better than most because it has that arcade 80s feel to the music.
I actually really enjoyed the score, and it was kind of fun because you said something about 80, that it was around like the 80s period, the time period, and I've really been in that like 80s zone right now with Stranger Things and everything like that.
I felt like this film is like an 80s film's dream to be. Is that a funny, weird thing to say? Like, kind of like this film is an 80s dream. Like, they can't do it in the 80s, but now we can, and it's like a dream fulfilled.
I like the first Thor movie. It was pretty good. The second one was not as good. And then I liked Thor in like the Avenger movies, but this one, it completely reinvented him. Not just with his hair. I mean, his personality was developed more. It was...
Oh, yeah.
He became I don't want to say human, but he was humanized in a way that is relatable.
There were so many moments for him to get humbled, and yes, the other films humbled him as well. There's just plenty of things in there that humble him, and you're surprised he's in these situations. And you're like, he's a god. He should be beyond this stuff, but he's not. They did a good job of course, what you said, reinventing him and giving him obstacles, and then he overcame them. And not too easily. That was my problem with Iron Man 2. Is that problem he had with his arc reactor and things were killing him, he like solved that problem too easily. You know what I mean?
It took like 2 minutes.
It took like 2 minutes.
Map. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take this.
Yep, let's make a new element.
Blah, 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 boo, boop. Then, oh, look, Cap shield.
Tastes like coconut.
I'm actually going to compare this to Spider-Man for a moment. The villain in Spider-Man was the perfect villain for Spider-Man at that time. The villain in Thor Ragnarok, Hela, is the perfect villain for Thor at that time. Although, if you compare the villain and the hero in both Spider-Man and in Thor Ragnarok, Thor is actually at a more disadvantage than Spider-Man was at. And it's weird to see somebody who's really, really, really powerful at a disadvantage.
It might be a kind of a conceited thing to say, but like I watched this movie and I know there's like director stamps on everything, and I watch movies and I love them all, and when I watched this one I'm like, oh, did I make this movie? I felt so connected to it that I almost felt like I made it in a weird way. I wouldn't change anything.
I think that's kind of what the director was going for. I'm guessing he's a fan of the Marvel movies, and this is something that he as a fan wanted to make, and him being a fan was able to make what fans wanted. What fans would do. Like, oh, what would you do if you had this is what I'd do. And so that's what he did.
Can that guy direct a Star Wars movie? Like, I would love to see one like that. That was so fun.
I enjoyed it more than Rogue One and The Force Awakens for sure.
Yeah, like it just...
That's not even a comparison there,
yeah, exactly. Honest. Like, it almost like, it's like what Star Wars should be. Like, they have the ships battles and they have the swords and and the mythology.
In the trailer, I thought it was going to be too much of a spoiler when they showed Thor's eyes glowing and like sparks and like lightning going off. That's not a spoiler. That is like a little sliver of what he actually does. And it's just like, oh, it's so epic. He loses his hammer in this one. You think with him losing his hammer, it would be just like devastating, and it was, but he was actually able to go past that and learn more about himself, which I thought was really, really cool. And I'm actually kind of wondering, what are they going to do for, like, what are they going to have? Like, is he going to have, like, another weapon? Is he going to be all Gladiator for the rest of the Marvel MCU that he's in?
This film could have gone so differently, but it didn't. I liked how it kept it light. Like, there were so many things that happened, so many bad things that happened to Thor in this movie, but he just persevered, because that's what heroes do.
One thing that I thought was a little weird, there was like some swear words that Thor and Loki say, and they haven't really sworn before. It was a little weird. And I'm thinking that's mostly because it was the improv.
An argument could be said about this film would be, is it too much comedy? I don't feel that way. I don't think you do either. Like, I think that it was just enough. Like, I was glad that they pushed the comedy a little bit more. Like, there was more into it, and I think it definitely worked for this film. It won't work for all the films, of course, but like for this film, definitely we highly recommend this film. Family friendly as well. You can take your whole family. I went to it 3 times, and I'm gonna definitely see it for a 4th time. It's definitely worth a watch. And we're just wondering, do you guys think that this movie has too much comedy, or was it just right?
Thanks guys for watching. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button and that like button, and we'll see you guys next time.
If you like this video, we've got plenty more where that came from around here.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.